Did you know that 99% of deaths after 75 come down to just a handful of causes? Many people assume that passing away at an advanced age is simply natural, but the truth is most fatalities stem from avoidable risks that are often ignored until it's too late. The problem is, by the time most people realize what's happening, their health has already deteriorated and their options become limited. But if you understand these dangers now, you can take steps to protect yourself and extend your life in ways you never thought possible. In this video, we're going to uncover the 5 leading causes of death after 75, the ones responsible for nearly all fatalities in this age group. Some of these might seem obvious, while others may surprise you, but one thing is certain: knowing them is the first step toward preventing them. These aren't just statistics, they represent real lives, real families, and real choices that could mean the difference between struggling with health problems or living a long, fulfilling life. Stay tuned until the end, because these 5 causes are not inevitable. In fact, by making small but meaningful changes, many people have significantly reduced their risks, stayed independent longer, and added years, sometimes decades, to their lives. The decisions you make today could determine how strong, active, and independent you remain in the years ahead. Now, let's get started. Number 1. Heart disease. Heart disease remains the leading cause of death for people over 75, and yet many don't realize how much control they actually have over it. The heart is a muscle, and like any muscle, it either stays strong with the right care or weakens from years of neglect. The problem is, you don't always feel the warning signs until the damage is already done. Many people assume that slowing down, feeling tired, or getting out of breath easily is just part of aging, but in reality, these can be signs that your heart isn't as strong as it used to be, and that's something worth paying attention to. One of the biggest contributors to heart disease is high blood pressure. Over time, it puts an enormous strain on your arteries, forcing your heart to work harder than it should. The tricky part? You don't feel it. There's no pain, no obvious symptoms, nothing telling you to take action until a heart attack or stroke forces the issue. That's why so many people over 75 suddenly find themselves in the hospital, wondering how they got there when they felt fine just days before. Another major culprit is poor diet. Decades of processed foods, excess salt, and unhealthy fats slowly take a toll, clogging arteries and reducing circulation. And here's something most people don't realize. This isn't just about avoiding bad foods, it's also about eating the right ones. Your heart needs fuel to stay strong, and if your meals are lacking in heart-healthy nutrients, the damage happens much faster than you think. And then there's a lack of movement. The heart isn't meant to sit still all day. When you stop moving, your circulation slows down, your muscles weaken, and your heart doesn't get the exercise it needs to stay strong. You don't have to run marathons, but staying active in whatever way works for you, whether it's walking, stretching, or even simple chair exercises, keeps your heart pumping efficiently and reduces your risk of heart disease dramatically. The biggest mistake people make is assuming that heart disease is just fate. They hear about relatives who had heart attacks or assume it's just what happens with age. But the truth is, small, consistent choices add up. The food you eat, the way you move, the stress you manage, it all plays a role in whether your heart stays strong or begins to fail. If you take one thing away from this, let it be this: you have more power over your heart health than you think. The choices you make today can determine how strong your heart stays for the years ahead, and the best time to start protecting it is right now. Number 2. Falls and injuries. One of the most dangerous and overlooked risks after 75 isn't a disease, it's a fall. It happens in an instant. One misstep, one moment of dizziness, one slippery floor, and suddenly everything changes. A fractured hip, a head injury, or even a seemingly minor bruise can quickly spiral into a serious, life-threatening event. And the real danger? Most people don't realize how vulnerable they are until it's too late. Here's something shocking. Falls are one of the top causes of injury deaths in seniors. They account for millions of emergency room visits every year, and for many, a single fall leads to a decline they never fully recover from. A hip fracture can mean months in bed, loss of independence, and increased risk of infections and complications. But despite how common this is, most people don't take fall prevention seriously until they or someone they love experiences one firsthand. The problem is, as we age, our sense of balance, muscle strength, and reaction time gradually decrease. But because this happens so slowly, we don't always notice. You might feel fine walking around your home, doing your daily routines, but then one day you reach for something, lose your balance, and gravity takes over. The body simply doesn't recover as easily as it once did, and what used to be a minor stumble can now result in devastating injuries. And here's something that makes it even worse. Fear of falling leads to even more falls. Many seniors, after experiencing one close call, start avoiding movement altogether. They stop going for walks, avoid stairs, and limit their activity out of fear. But the less you move, the weaker your muscles become. And the weaker your muscles become, the more likely you are to fall. It's a vicious cycle, and it can quickly rob you of your independence. But here's the good news. Falls are not inevitable. In fact, there are simple but powerful ways to reduce your risk dramatically. Strengthening your legs and core, improving balance, and making small adjustments in your home, like better lighting, slip-proof rugs, and sturdy handrails, can mean the difference between staying active and independent or facing a life-changing injury. Another overlooked factor: medication side effects. Many prescriptions cause dizziness, drowsiness, or changes in blood pressure that make falls more likely. If you've ever stood up too quickly and felt lightheaded, that's your body warning you that something needs to be adjusted. Talking to your doctor about your medications, making sure they're not working against you, and being mindful of how they affect your balance can save your life. Falling isn't just about tripping over something. It's about staying strong, staying steady, and staying aware of the little things that can make a big difference. Because after 75, a single fall can change everything. And taking the right precautions today could mean years of continued mobility, independence, and a much higher quality of life. If you're still tuned into this video and enjoying these thoughts, drop a number 2 in the comments to let me know you're with me. Haven't subscribed yet? I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you won't miss a single update. Alright, let's keep going. Number 3. Respiratory diseases. Next up, let's talk about something we don't think about until it's hard to do. Breathing. After 75, respiratory diseases sneak into the top causes of death, and it's not because our lungs just give up. It's because we let little issues fester, like cracks in a dam we ignore until the flood comes. Take COPD, chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. It's a mouthful, but it's really about inflamed airways, making every breath a chore. My aunt had it, always coughing, wheezing, brushing it off as just getting old, until it wasn't. She's managing now, but she wishes she'd listened to her lungs sooner. I remember her sitting by the window, staring out at the garden she couldn't tend anymore, her chest heaving like she'd run a race. It hit me then. Breathing's not just air, it's freedom, it's life. We take it for granted until it's a battle, and by then the fight's harder than it ever needed to be. Those little coughs, they're not just noise, they're your lungs begging for help, a whisper we can't afford to miss. Pneumonia's another heavy hitter, a thief in the night that turns a sniffle into a storm. What starts as a tickle in your throat can turn deadly fast, because our immune systems aren't as scrappy as they once were. They're like old soldiers, brave but weary, needing backup. Add in years of breathing dusty air, secondhand smoke, or even moldy corners at home, and your lungs take a beating that builds up silently over decades. My neighbor, Mr. Jenkins, used to puff on cigars every evening, said it was his reward after a long day. Last winter, pneumonia took him down in weeks, and his wife still talks about how he'd joke about his tough lungs until he couldn't. It's a wake-up call. All those years of grit and grime stick with us, chipping away at the breath we need to laugh, to love, to live. Our lungs carry the weight of our past. Why not lighten their load now before it's too late? But here's where you can fight back, where hope steps in with a steady hand. Staying active, think a brisk walk or even stretching, keeps your lungs working, clearing out gunk that builds up when you're parked on the couch too long. My friend Clara, 79, started doing chair yoga after her doctor warned her about weak lungs. She says it's like opening a window in her chest. And clean air, crack a window, grab an air purifier, skip the smoky spots, your lungs will thank you with every easy inhale. I tried it myself last month, ditching a dusty old rug, and suddenly my morning coffee came with a deeper breath. It's simple, but it's powerful. Small moves that turn a struggle into a gift. Your lungs aren't just machines, they're storytellers, humming the rhythm of your days. Why not give them a tune they can sing without strain? Vaccines are a game changer too, a shield we don't always see until the arrows start flying. A flu shot or pneumonia jab isn't just a needle, it's armor against infections that could knock you down for good, a quiet promise to keep going. My cousin hesitated, thought vaccines were overkill, until a bad flu landed him in bed for a month. He's first in line now. It's not about fear, it's about respect for the body that's carried you this far. Breathing should feel like a gift, not a struggle, and life lessons from the elderly remind us that protecting what keeps us alive is a choice worth making. You're here, every breath a testament to your story. Why not give your lungs the love they deserve? They've been with you through every tearful goodbye and joyful hello. They've earned a little care to keep singing your song. Number 4, stroke. Now, let's step into something that strikes without warning. Stroke. 1 minute you're sipping tea, the next your world flips upside down. It's a top killer after 75, but here's the incredible part. Up to 80% of strokes can be stopped before they start. That's not a typo, 80%. A stroke happens when blood can't get to your brain. Either a clot blocks the way or a vessel bursts. Brain cells die fast, and the damage can leave you paralyzed, speechless, or worse. My old boss had one. Went from running a shop to needing help with everything overnight. I'll never forget visiting him, seeing the frustration in his eyes as he struggled to lift a spoon. Once a man who'd carried crates of apples with ease. It's a thief in the night, stealing pieces of who you are. But what if you could lock the door before it gets in? That 80% statistic isn't just hope, it's a lifeline. Every day, folks like you and me dodge this bullet with choices we didn't even know mattered. This isn't about fear. It's about fighting for the life you've built, the one you still want to live. High blood pressure's back on the scene here, quietly weakening arteries until they can't hold up. Irregular heartbeats, like atrial fibrillation, toss in another twist. Blood clots form, break loose, and head straight for your brain. Diet and laziness play their parts too. Too much junk food and not enough movement thicken your blood, slowing the whole system down. But you've got power here. Regular checkups catch these culprits early. A plate of greens, a daily stroll. Cutting back on salt. It's not rocket science, but it's life-saving. Think of your arteries like old garden hoses. Years of pressure and gunk wear them thin, but a little care keeps them flowing. My cousin ignored his doctor's warnings about AFib, brushing off the fluttering in his chest until a clot changed everything. Meanwhile, a friend started swapping fries for spinach and walking her grandkids to school. Her last checkup showed numbers a 50-year-old would envy. It's not about perfection, it's about persistence. You're not powerless. You're the gatekeeper of your own vitality, holding the tools to keep that blood pumping strong. Ever heard of a mini stroke? A TIA, transient ischemic attack, might blur your vision or slur your words for a minute, then vanish. Don't ignore it. It's a siren blaring that a big one's coming if you don't act. What's one warning sign you've brushed off that might be worth a second look? Your independence, your voice, your story, they're all on the line. You're not just surviving, you're thriving when you take the reins. I knew a lady who felt her arm go numb once, chalked it up to sleeping funny, until it happened again and her doctor caught it just in time. That fleeting moment was her wake-up call. a whisper from her body begging for help. We've all got those whispers. Dizziness after standing, a stumble we laugh off, but they're not jokes, they're clues. Listening could mean dancing at your grandkid's wedding instead of watching from a wheelchair. Your life's a tapestry, don't let a loose thread unravel it when a stitch now could hold it tight. If you're still tuned into this video and enjoying these thoughts, drop a number 4 in the comments to let me know you're with me. Haven't subscribed yet? I'd love for you to hit that subscribe button and tap the bell so you won't miss a single update. Alright, let's keep going. Number 5. Cognitive decline and related complications. Finally, we come to something that tugs at the heart: cognitive decline. It's the slow unraveling of memory, the fading of clarity, and for many, the loss of independence. Dementia and Alzheimer's don't just cloud the mind, they put everything at risk. Forgetting to eat right, take meds, or turn off the stove. It's not just inconvenient, it's dangerous. My friend's mom wandered out one night confused, and thank goodness a neighbor found her. It's a harsh truth. As the mind slips, so does the ability to care for ourselves. I've seen it up close. Her once sharp wit dulled, her kitchen a maze she couldn't navigate. It's like watching a lighthouse dim, leaving the ship adrift. But it's not just her story. Countless families face this quiet heartbreak, where love battles helplessness. This isn't a distant threat. It's a shadow that creeps closer unless we shine a light on it now. Your mind's the keeper of your life's treasures. Don't let it slip away without a fight. It starts small, misplacing keys, fumbling names, and we laugh it off as senior moments. But those are breadcrumbs leading somewhere we don't want to go. The good news? You can push back. Keep your brain busy, read, Tina Fey calls it mental gymnastics, reading, puzzles, learning a new recipe. It's like lifting weights for your mind. Exercise helps too. Blood flow to the brain keeps it sharp. And don't underestimate people. Loneliness speeds up decline, but coffee with a friend or a chat with your grandkids builds resilience. My uncle, 79, started crossword puzzles after forgetting his PIN. Now he's quicker than me at them. Or take my neighbor, who walks daily and swears her memory's sharper for it. Social bonds are glue. Last week I saw 2 old pals laughing over cards, their minds sparking with every joke. It's not about stopping time, it's about arming yourself. Every book, every step, every hug, it's a brick in the wall against that slow fade. Food matters here too. Berries, nuts, fish, they're brain fuel. Too much sugar or junk? That's inflammation waiting to fog your thoughts. Life lessons from the elderly. Whisper that the mind's a garden. Tend it and it blooms. Lose it and you lose more than memories, you lose yourself, your story, your laughter, your choices. They're worth fighting for. My grandma used to say her salmon dinners kept her witty as a whip. Science backs her up, with omega-3s shielding her brain. Contrast that with a friend who lived on donuts. His recall's a haze now. It's not just food, it's a lifeline. Picture your mind as soil. Nurture it with the good stuff and it grows lush. Neglect it and weeds take over. You're not just feeding your body, you're preserving your essence, the spark that makes you you. That's a legacy worth sowing today. Final thoughts. As we wrap up, let's linger on this: heart disease, falls, respiratory troubles, strokes, cognitive decline. These 5 giants loom large after 75. Claiming nearly all deaths in this chapter of life. But they're not the final word. They're not destiny carved in stone. My grandmother knew it, living proof at 82 that small steps, eating well, staying active, listening to your body, write a different ending. Most folks don't see how much power they hold until the window's closing, but you're here now, with time to choose. I think of her bustling in the kitchen, humming, defying the odds with every carrot she chopped. She wasn't a superhero, just a woman who chose to keep going. That's the secret. These giants aren't invincible. They're shadows you can outrun with a steady pace. You're not a bystander in this story. You're the author, pen in hand, deciding how the next page turns. Think about your days. What's one corner you could turn today? A healthier bite, a short walk, a call to a friend. You don't need to overhaul everything, just nudge the wheel. At this stage, your well-being's your gold. The more you guard it, the more you get to savor what matters. Loved ones, freedom, a life well lived. My buddy Tom swapped soda for water last month, says he feels lighter already. Or take Sarah, 77, who started porch chats with her neighbor, her smiles brighter than ever. It's not about rewriting your whole book overnight. It's about editing a line here, a word there. Your health's a treasure chest, spilling with moments yet to come. Grandkids' graduations, quiet sunsets, laughter over coffee. Each small shift today is a coin added, building wealth in years and joy. The human condition is a messy, beautiful thing, fragile yet fierce. Every day's a chance to lean into that strength, to defy the odds. Not with grand gestures, but with quiet, steady choices. What legacy of health and joy do you want to leave behind? That's the question that lingers, open-ended and alive. We're all walking this tightrope of time, some days wobbly, others bold. My dad, gone now, left me his stubborn grit. I see it when I lace up my shoes instead of sitting. You're here, breathing, a testament to resilience. These choices aren't just for you. They're gifts to those who will tell your story, proof that fragility can bloom into something fierce and lasting. Thanks for joining me today. I'd love to hear from you. Drop one thing you learned or plan to try in the comments. Your voice keeps this community thriving. If this hit home, hit that like button, subscribe, and ring the bell. Let's keep exploring life's big questions together. Until next time, take care and keep writing your story. Your words down below light up my day. Last week, Jean's pledge to walk more had me cheering. This isn't just a video. It's us sharing, growing, holding space for what's real. You're not alone on this road. Every step you take echoes here, inspiring someone else. See you soon, friends.